Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my 100th episode of RecruitMilitary Live. I can't believe it. I've been working with RecruitMilitary now for 3 years. Got offered the opportunity to do this show and said, why not? Probably about the same way I ended up in airborne school. So, welcome to our 100th episode of RecruitMilitary Live, a continuing series of live broadcasts covering all things military transitions, veteran employment, mil-spouse employment, and much, much more. My name is Lucas Conley, retired U.S. Army officer and former TAP program manager, here to share with you the ins and outs of navigating the turbulent waters of civilian employment. If you're in search of meaningful employment, well, you're in the right place. Please visit rmvets.com/live to learn more. Okay. As a leader in the military, your personal brand is largely crafted for you. You have or have had a well-known organizational history. The Navy, Army, Air Force, Marines, and Space Force. Well, Space Force is kind of new, but the others have a long and storied organizational history. They have a unified collective purpose and a unique value proposition, which is to go fight and win America's wars. Now, once you get on the right-hand side of that DD-214, there comes the challenge of redefining yourself, crafting your own personal brand, and marketing your own unique value in the civilian employment marketplace. For many, this can be a daunting challenge. Today's broadcast, hopefully, will help. Our guest today started his career in the so-called silent service as a U.S. Navy submarine officer back in 2002. He went on to be the founder of CEO of Silicon Valley marketing technology company, Storybox Inc., as well as the founder of Captivate Content Marketing. Today, he's the CEO of Executive Presence, which specializes in helping top-tier executive boost their visibility, activate their network, and position themselves as thought leaders via a premium, fully managed LinkedIn service. He's here today to share with the audience the very best tips and techniques he has compiled over the years, well, more than a decade in digital marketing, specifically how transitioning service members, veterans, and mil-spouses alike can use platforms like LinkedIn to craft, refine, and leverage their digital presence for career success. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Justin Nassiri.
So happy to be here for episode number 100. I love it.
I know, right? I feel like we should have champagne, or there should be balloons or something.
Yeah, fall from the ceiling.
We'll do it on number 200.
Yeah.
Justin, welcome to the show. I really appreciate it. And
thanks for those, such a big fan of RecruitMilitary. Appreciate all the work that you and your team do.
Awesome. And now that you know who we are out there in the audience, and I'm talking to you, we want to know who you are. Who are you with? Who'd you serve with? What's your status? Active duty, reserve, National Guard, retired, about to retire? What's your duty status? Where are you watching us from? Fort Liberty. All right, somewhere on the coast, somewhere at sea, perhaps from the belly of a submarine. Hit us up in that chat. If you got questions, comments, issues, or concerns, time allowing, we will address them. All right, we are wheels up, as they say, Justin. Now, despite the overwhelming evidence that networking in the digital space is an effective tool for advancing your career, I still, strangely enough, speak with people who have literally said to me, well, I don't believe in LinkedIn. To which I usually respond, well, I don't believe in Santa, but I'm sure going to open the presents anyway. What do you say to the naysayers who are mired in the belief that LinkedIn is nothing more than just another social media boondoggle?
I think I would challenge them. Their information is severely out of date. I think that every professional that I know is on LinkedIn. And I think that the value of LinkedIn is being connected with your professional network. I personally am not active on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I am on LinkedIn because there is extreme career benefits to being on LinkedIn. I like to think of LinkedIn as bumper bowling social media. It's pretty hard to get something in the gutter. It's a pretty safe place. It's a way to know what your professional colleagues are up to. It's a way to be up to speed on what's going on in your industry. It's a way for you to be discovered for sales, for hiring, for whatever you're going to do. And so I would say, get with the times, get on LinkedIn. It's, the modern version of the business card. And we can go a lot deeper on that. But obviously, I work within the LinkedIn ecosystem. I have hundreds of stories of people who have gotten jobs, people who have gotten funding, people who have gotten customers, people who have gotten press. whatever you're wanting to do professionally, LinkedIn is going to help you on that. And there's no downside, and it takes very little time to be active on LinkedIn. So quick teaser, but I think that I would challenge anyone who says that there's no value in it.
And the CEOs, Fortune 500 CEOs, they're in there. They're in the mix. They're in LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean everyone, right? Everyone from the most junior intern to the CEO of a Fortune 100 company, they're all on LinkedIn. The thing that I think is so vital, especially for transitioning veterans, is like this is going to be with you for the rest of your career. And most of us are going to work till we're 65 at least, right? So you've got, whether you're getting out at age 25 or age 45, you've got a long time. And so investing in LinkedIn is going to be with you for the long haul.
Awesome. And I've actually heard, I believe I read it in Forbes as well as Harvard Business Review, that 2024 going into 2025, there are many within the talent acquisition space and within the business community that feel your LinkedIn profile is becoming increasingly more important than the content of your resume.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I feel like the resume is a static document that's in a PDF that people look at once. Like LinkedIn, they can see who you're connected to. It's just a living resume, and it's so much. It's updated in real time. People can write endorsements for you. If you're developing a following, that's something that's an asset as well. 100%. I mean, everyone I meet with, and I meet with 500 CEOs a year, like everyone, I do my LinkedIn stalking, and I look and see what are they up to, what have they done, what do they know, who do they know. It's something that people are going to be looking at whether or not you realize it.
Okay. So let's shift gears for a second here, Justin. One of the key values common to all branches of service is that the value of selfless service, putting the mission ahead of self, putting the needs of the team ahead of yourself, even putting the needs of the service ahead of your family, the needs of the command. While admirable and vitally essential, you contend that military leaders need to make a deliberate mind shift. They got to change the way they think in order to market themselves effectively. Can you explain?
Yeah, and I'll give some context where my advice is coming from. Obviously, I come from a military background, so I have myself and friends. I also hosted a podcast, 460 episodes of Beyond the Uniform, where I interviewed military veterans about their transition. And then with Executive Presence, I work with a lot of very, very successful people about being active on social media. And what I have observed is that generally, as you said, we as veterans have a mindset where we are trained not to put ourselves out there, not to take credit for things that we have done, not to sell ourselves. And I think this is an extreme disservice because we are competing for jobs. We are competing for different things with people who have no problem promoting themselves. And I always think about, I went to business school and I was with amazing people. And one of the people I was classmates with said, oh yeah, I launched satellites. And I was like, oh my God, you're this person who's responsible and you must be leading this team that's doing this. And I found out, no, he was on a team of 500 people responsible for launching satellites, but he positioned it as if it was all him. And I realized, man, coming as a military veteran, I would have phrased that differently. I would have said I was, part of a team of 500 people launching this, but that is not nearly as sexy. That's not nearly as glamorous. And so I would first of all, everyone watching this who's a veteran say, look, you are trained and conditioned in a way that might not serve you in your civilian job. But the mindset hack that I would give to you is to say, look, you are doing this. You are putting yourself out there, not for yourself. It's actually in service of your family. It's in service of veterans who come after you. If you get a great job, guess what? You can hire other veterans, or maybe you're the first veteran someone meets, but you knock it out of the park and they're like, man, I want to hire more people like you. So if you are putting yourself out there, if you're advocating for yourself, it's not a selfish thing. It's actually in service of your family, and the veterans who come after you. And I hope that that gives you the courage to tolerate the discomfort of standing out in public, or maybe getting attention, or maybe something that might feel like chest beating to you, but is actually just normal in the civilian sector of really advocating for yourself. So I would encourage you to think that, maybe your tolerance, your meter through the military is pegged really low, where something to you that feels very self-promotional, you almost have to retrain yourself to realize that that's actually normal. And you going way out and like advocating for yourself, what might feel so extreme, that might actually be very normal. And
and it's cultural too.
Yep.
It's cultural because and I like to call it accepting blame and deflecting credit. So oftentimes
I love that. Yeah.
You'd have someone, a general officer or a senior leader, would come down to your organization and say, Sergeant Conley or Major Conley, whatever the position happened to be, understand you guys did great work out there this weekend. Absolutely fantastic. I couldn't be prouder to have you a part of our organization. To which the leader then says, well, sir, I have great soldiers working for me. The credit goes to them. Yeah. Whereas if it's the flip side of the coin, Conley, what in the heck did you do? It's on me, Sergeant Major. It's all me. I'll take 100%. Care of it. And I think people underestimate that. Look, if your organization did well, hopefully because of you and not despite you, but you organized and you inspected and you disseminated information and you communicated effectively, own it.
Yeah. And it's another one that I love that example, 100% spot on. Another example is the use of we. My team did this. We did this. That is great. I don't want to change where that is coming from, but you're in a new environment. You have to adapt. And I would say in this civilian environment, in this private sector environment, you need to start using I. You need to stop being so soft-spoken. You need to stop waiting for people to discover these things. You actually have to explain to them what you did. You have to explain to them your specific role. You need to stop being less humble, because that's going to cost you opportunities. And I think that humility, I think that team-centeredness is going to make you such an asset to whatever team you get on. And you got to get on that team. And to get there, you might have to do things that feel like, every ounce in your body is like, oh, this is awful. I shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. This is selfish. It's not. It's just you're in a new environment and you need to retrain yourself to play by the rules of your new environment. And what's great is people in the military are great at adapting. They're great to learning the new environment they're operating in. This is no different, but realize, the game is played differently as you transition out.
Yeah, and I like to tell people that growth and change happens in uncomfortable spaces. So if you're uncomfortable doing something, you're probably learning.
For sure. Yeah.
And then as a hiring manager, if you're going to market yourself, stop telling me about what we did. We is not coming to my organization. We are not going to share the salary I'm going to offer you. We are not going to get promoted. You might, if you can tell me what it is you did and what I can expect from you, and representing that in the digital space is just a piece of that.
Yeah. I love that. Sometimes I obviously look at a lot of LinkedIn profiles, and when I see a profile of a transition veteran and their profile photo is in uniform, it is a big red flag for me of like, this person may have transitioned, but they haven't really completed that process because they're stuck in what they were doing and they're not in civilian attire. They're not like, they haven't, there's some growing pains here, right? Or if I get an email and it's like very respectfully, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I used to say when I was in the military. I don't say that now that I'm out. So these are all red flags. Yeah, these are all red flags that like this person hasn't caught up yet. They're kind of, they haven't done that transition. And I think that like all of these things, if you view it as that, like, man, if you keep on saying if you keep on deflecting, if you can't tell your story, it's just a sign that you're behind the curve on the transition and you haven't learned the new language, you haven't found a way to explain your background to a non-military audience, you haven't found a way to show what you have done to the hiring manager, it's like you gotta catch up, you gotta learn the new environment.
Okay, Justin, let's assume that I was a naysayer and you just sold me. All right,
Yeah.
Justin, I get it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. What do I do? What should I be putting in my LinkedIn profile? What's the formula for success here?
Yeah, and we can take it in two parts. There's obviously your LinkedIn profile, and this is kind of the sales page for who you are. This is a way to explain to someone in hopefully 3 seconds or less why I should give you attention. So there's the profile, and then there's actually the newsfeed. There's posting on LinkedIn. There's actually proactively telling your story, and there's benefits to both of these. But let's start where everyone should start, and that's with your LinkedIn profile. And we can actually do a tear down live. But I would
Absolutely.
say the great thing is your LinkedIn profile is going to take less than 30 minutes to clean it up. It's something you have to do once every year or so. It's not something you have to do. It doesn't take a lot of time and you don't have to do it that often. But that's the starting place, because everyone who's going to hire you, everyone's going to work with you, everyone who's going to work for you, they're going to look at your LinkedIn profile to reorient quickly and be, okay, who is this person? What are they about? Are they credible? Are they someone I should work with or follow? So I know one of your colleagues maybe
Yes.
volunteered themselves, but
One of our brave interns here at RecruitMilitary has been so bold as to allow us to pull up his LinkedIn profile live for the world to see, and for you, Justin, to provide us with constructive feedback. So he may be cringing right now, but let's get into it. You just
well,
let me know how much scrolling you need to do, and
yeah.
Wade, if you're out there, I hope you're taking notes.
Yeah, and Wade, I appreciate the vulnerability and the courage of letting us do this. I haven't looked at this in detail, but we'll go through it live. And for people watching, if we have time, if you want to throw your LinkedIn profile in the chat, we might have time to do yours as well. But I'll kind of start, and I do this all the time, but we'll start at the top. So that banner image is such a big piece of real estate, and it's such a great visual way to talk about who you are and what you do. And so obviously I notice in Wade's profile photo that he's open to work. So obviously he's not attached to a company right now. And so he's starting from scratch. The first thing that stands out to me though is obviously what you're all seeing is like, it's that image is cut off. And so I'm guessing it says project management, but we
Yep.
want to clean that up because you want to look at this both on mobile as well as on desktop. But here on desktop, that image is not up to snuff. That said, I'm going to take a stab at and saying that, okay, this person probably has a lot of experience in project management or wants to be in project management. That's great. This is kind of the 3-second test of like, okay, who is this person and what are they about? Now, I like this image because it's somewhat original. It's not that gray default image that LinkedIn gives if you haven't updated it. But the big takeaways for me would be, okay, let's get that image so I can see it properly. And one step further is like, what's the 5-word description of what they do? So for me, I would say I help leaders become thought leaders. It's a little bit of a teaser of what I do. I would say for Wade, like one step better might not just be project management, but I help construction companies operate more efficiently, right? I'm giving a sense of industry, right? Or I help small businesses operate like a Fortune 100 brand. So if we could get a little bit more precise and spoon feed someone in that visual space, even better. The next thing that I look at is that title or the tagline, which right now says project management, project program management, operations management, MBA, PMP. Okay, it's not awful. I'd say it's like a 50%. I think again, I would want to, Wade, as we scroll down, we're likely going to learn more about Wade. But I think that the project management, program management, operations management is a little bit too redundant. I might simplify it to say project management, then he's got that nice bar. I'm guessing military veteran, or we'll learn more, but we might want to kind of feed something about who this person is. MBA and PMP is great, but again, if we have clarity on what Wade's wanting to do, I help X do Y. I help, software companies operate more efficient. It's just going to kind of help me reorient more quickly about what this person does.
How about a quick comparison here? Here's mine.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little vulnerable. Go ahead.
No, this is
I'll
great.
Stand back and wait for the slings and arrows.
Now I love it. So I love this. Okay, great. Your post-military career starts here. Great. I instantly know what Lucas is a part of, and I see RecruitMilitary, I see the logo, I see the domain name. So I love the background image. If you look at Lucas's tagline, connecting the military community with employers who value military experience, 100%, right? I instantly know it passes the 3-second test. Okay, great. What does he do? Why might I speak with Lucas? And then, he goes on to say program manager, retired Army officer, veteran advocate, writer, INTJ. Great. This is personal preference. I might trim it down just so less is more, but he's giving me a ton of footholds. Okay, great. Army officer. Oh, veteran advocate, writer. It gives me his personality. I think there's a lot to work with there. If we scroll down, and I like this kind of comparison, obviously we're seeing a little bit more detail because this is Lucas's profile. The next section is the about section. Let's click on the see more. So this is great. So I would even say, knowing you, Lucas, the two things I might change here is I might expand quite a bit. I might write a lot more because you've got so much more room, and I might make it more skimmable. And if you open a third tab really quickly, just to use myself as a comparison, if you type in Justin the Siri in that search bar, hopefully I'm the first one that comes up. Okay, so what I would do if you click on the about section is, I'm a big fan of making things mobile friendly. So avoiding blocks of text, using bullet points, using different things. And if you scroll down, you don't even have to read this, but if you scroll down, I'm just really trying to use all of this real estate to talk about who I am, who I work with, how they might get a hold of me. So let's go back to Wade and see, let's scroll down and see Wade. So about, so Wade, you're better than 90% of people who have this blank, right? 2 decades of dedicated service. I'm already getting to know Wade more, right? Senior retention, operations intersects deep. Great. So I think that this is great. I might just, Wade, if you have 5 minutes, I might quadruple the amount of information here. Make it skimmable, but great. Maybe you talk about why you joined the Army, what you did there, what you learned there, what you're looking to do, things like that. It's just so much real estate. Might as well take advantage of it. Let's scroll a little bit more. And so one thing, Wade, you're not using is a featured section. If you go back to Lucas, I think Lucas does this really well. It's an optional section. You've got no reason not to use it, but it's very visual. So right here, Lucas is using posts from LinkedIn. He's got different things here. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but it's very visual, and it's a way to talk about who you are. So Wade, if you don't have articles about you, no worries, right? You could take a LinkedIn post as Lucas has done and use that. Lucas has used some images here. Maybe there's a photo of you and something you accomplished in the military. It's just a way to showcase yourself. To use myself as an example, if you click on my profile tab, one more over, if you do the third tab for you.
Thank you.
Just like Lucas, I will use LinkedIn posts to kind of talk about what I do. But I also, I interviewed for my podcast Jocko Willink, and it's just an image, right? I created this in like PowerPoint. So you can use images, you can use videos, you can use articles, you can use LinkedIn posts. It's just a way to tell more about who you are, establish some credibility. Let's go back to Wade just in the interest of time. And so we'll come back to his activity here, but let's scroll down to his experience. Great, this is awesome. So this is great. Run Salesforce reports, update contact information. If you click on see more, this is great. Better than nothing. He's talking about what he has done at RecruitMilitary. That's great. I might add in what RecruitMilitary is and give some credibility to the organization. So you might, you might be able to easily steal that from their LinkedIn page. But I love the bullet points. I think it's great to kind of explain what you've done. Let's just scroll down. I'm just kind of curious what else.
I'd love to take credit for that, but he came up with that one on his own.
No, this is great. Yeah, great. All right. See, this was not coming forth in the about section, right? Look at this. Directed the human capital program for 3,800 personnel across geographically. Great. I mean, there's numbers here, which I love to see. Numbers are the universal sign, right? Managed a budget of $140,000. Great. So for me, I was on a submarine. So I think I say something like I commanded a $1.4 billion warship or whatever, 20,000 tons. Like, you want to give some, I managed 200 people. Numbers are the universal language. So that's great that you're explaining, you're spoon feeding your military background to someone else. You're letting them know, like, hey, I know nothing about CBRNE command, but $140,000 budget. That's great. Oh, a 20% reduction in spending.
It's that translation thing. Because if I say regiment, battalion, squadron, command, company, troop, wing, what have you, people go, huh? What? I don't even know what these things are.
And the great thing is, you have to do this once on LinkedIn. You don't have to do it again. So great. Let's just scroll down and see if there's anything else to kind of glean here. Great. Managed a team of 3 career advisors. Yeah, Wade, awesome job. You're explaining your background in a way that I can understand as someone who wasn't in the Army. Let's do one last thing. Let's just scroll up and let's look at his posts, because we talked about the profile. Yeah, let's look at those show all posts. So we talked about the profile. Wade is going above and beyond because he is being active on LinkedIn. And so this is great. This is kind of the gold star. Profiles most of it, but Wade, even though he has a small following, he's sharing his knowledge. And this is, the way that I would view a LinkedIn post is, how can you help others? So he's, sharing something that resonated with him. He's kind of giving a shout out to mentors. This is great. Let's just scroll down and we can talk about this in real depth. But so it looks like every day Wade is taking some time to post some thoughts. Great. You don't have to do every day, every week, every month, something like that. Reposts don't get a lot of visibility, but it's better than nothing. He's kind of reposted something. So this is great. If I'm a hiring manager, I see that Wade's got something to say. He's thinking, he's kind of sharing thoughts.
He's engaged.
All of these great. He's engaged, right? And the biggest thing about these posts, every time Wade posts, he's going to be showing up in all of his connections news feed. He's going to be relevant. He's going to be top of mind. I might know Wade, but not be thinking about him. But every time his name pops up, oh man, Wade, yeah, that's a good guy. Oh, what's he looking for? Oh, project management. Oh, I just met someone who's in project management. Look, they're looking to hire someone. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to kind of create serendipity. So awesome. Hopefully this helps, Wade. And thank you for the thick skin and sharing your profile here. Happy if anyone watching wants to throw their LinkedIn profile and do this. We can also kind of continue the conversation, but hopefully that helps watchers get a sense of what to do with your LinkedIn profile and your LinkedIn activity.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, and when we had a conversation the other day, I like to throw out the sports metaphor. I say, it's, you can sit in the stands. You're passive. You're consuming. You can suit up. If you really want to get in the game, you got to get on the field. You got to get your hands on the ball. You got to put some yards between yourself in the goalposts, and you got to put some points on the board. So it's just not enough to show up, and it's not really enough to suit up. You've got to get engaged.
100%. A friend of mine said something, I'm sure he borrowed from somewhere else, but he said, it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Ooh.
And when you suit up, when you get on that field, if you're posting content, let's say on LinkedIn, you're creating awareness, and it's kind of saying who knows you. It's getting your name out there. It's starting to develop a following. It's starting to be top of mind with your network and to be relevant to them. And that's really important. Who knows you? Who's thinking about you? Who's remembering who you are and sending a job opportunity your way?
Justin, absolutely awesome. I think you've nailed everything, all the high points here. As we get to the bottom of the hour and we begin to close out, put yourself in the situation. You have the opportunity to give one piece of advice, just one piece of advice about this topic to a transitioning service member, a veteran, or a milspouse who's trying to bring the full might of LinkedIn to bear for their professional and career success. What's that one piece of advice that you hand them?
I think it's share your story. Sharing your story helps others. If you take the time to explain your military background, that's going to make it easier for the next veteran who might not be as adept at sharing their story in a way that people understand. Or if you share what you learned in the military, if you share, someone you worked for that you learned a lot from, and you share something you learned from them, that act of generosity, it's going to get you attention, but it's softening the ground for all the men and women who come after you, because most people on the planet do not understand what you did in the military. And if you can help them through stories understand, like, what did you learn in the military? What did you learn about leadership, about being a good human, about work ethic? If you share these stories, every story softens the ground and helps people understand, like, oh man, I didn't realize in the Army you learned things like that. Like with Wade, I didn't realize you managed $140,000 worth of stuff. Like, that's really impressive. I didn't realize you led a team of 30 people, whatever it is. When you're sharing that, it's going to help people understand the value a veteran brings to the table. And yes, that might get you the job, but more importantly, it's going to help all the men and women in the next decade who come after you have an easier job, because people understand what they bring to the table.
Awesome. Absolutely. And for those of you who are out there, we've got more information about the topic over on Recruit Military's resource page. Feel free to swing by. Justin, before we go, share with us a little bit of something about what you're doing with executive presence.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So executive presence, we're helping executives become thought leaders. It's a way that helps them build trust and relevance for their organization. And so if you know of a CEO, if you know of someone senior at a company who could benefit from our service, please send them our way. We love working with leaders and helping them broadcast their message, share their knowledge, and build trust online.
Justin, absolutely great. I think we've got a lot to work with here. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you.
All right, folks out there in internet land, if you haven't already done so, do yourself a solid and use the link, rmvets.com/live. That'll take you to our website, where you will find literally hundreds of thousands of job opportunities, not just jobs, but meaningful career opportunities with tens of thousands of employers, West Coast, East Coast, and everything in between, even overseas jobs around the world and around the corner. Recruit Military is bringing you opportunities for meaningful careers after military service. This has been Lucas Conley for Recruit Military Live. Until the next show, good luck and Godspeed.